He's the deal lawyer, and he's the certified coach. Find out what happens when these two professionals talk about universal questions and topics that require insightful answers. This week, the guys meet to talk about. This episode starts now. Steve, there's a lot of people out there. I believe they mean really, really well, and so there's a lot of positive things that are out there. But sometimes there's some things that sound good on the front end, but maybe on the back end, maybe aren't as good. So
what are you talking about, PJ?
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So that was kind of ubiquitous, but it's this phrase that I keep hearing, and we've all heard it. And the phrase is, fake it till you make it. Now, on one hand, I can understand why you might think that's something good to do.
Yeah.
But I think, especially long term and from a behavioral perspective, I don't know that I really agree that fake it till you make it is a good thing. And mainly because I guess one of the exceptions I take to it is the word fake. So if you look at the word fake up in the dictionary, you get words like counterfeit, sham, hoax, right? Not genuine, imitation.
Yeah.
And so we're saying fake it, in other words, pretend, in order to make it. So it almost seems to assume that there's already something wrong because you're having to fake it to begin with.
Yeah.
And so coming from a perspective of someone who encourages people and who knows that everybody has strengths and talents,
right?
I'm not so sure that I would say, ignore those talents so that you can fake it, so you can present something that's not even real in order to try to bolster confidence. But I'm sure you have another thought.
well, so PJ. So growing up, I heard that phrase quite a bit. Fake it till you make it. Don't let them see you sweat. Even when you're in a situation where it may be the first time doing it. My dad would always tell me, okay, stick your chest out, stand up straight, and exude confidence, because confidence in some way or another causes people to be attracted to you, and they may start believing what you're saying. And I'm not talking about just saying anything or whatever and falsehoods or whatever, but one thing I think is real important is, especially in underrepresented communities, people of color and everything else. I think in my situation, growing up in Corpus, and when I went to college in New Hampshire at Dartmouth College. Literally had never been on a plane before, had never seen snow before, and now I'm among some very elite people from private schools and everything else. I felt absolutely out of place, and I was out of place. A guy from Corpus Christi, black guy from Corpus Christi in New Hampshire, and I remember other people would come up to me and say, "How did you end up going to Dartmouth?" or whatever, right? But in any event, I had what you would call this imposter syndrome when you first get there. I knew I was smart, had accomplished a lot of things, but now I'm among really smart people and people who have a lot more wealth than I do and everything else. And so I immediately start thinking about the things that my dad would say is, stick your chest out, walk up straight and do all that kind of stuff, and, exude confidence, even though trembling in my shoes. I'm like, oh my God, do I really belong here?
Yes.
And so that thinking as if, or thinking, okay, I'm going to not let them know I'm terrified, but yet stand tall and keep moving through it, I think it was extremely beneficial. And so if that is part of faking it till you make it, I'm okay with that.
Well, and I think that's fair. And you said something like act as if.
Yes.
See, I like act as if because it has nothing to do with being fake. It's just saying you're just going to assume something. You're going forward in your thinking and assuming, hey, I'm going to act like I've been here before. So I'm okay with that. But the idea of faking now talks about pretending in some kind of way. And so there I look at it and say, well, what are the insecurities? And I love that you brought up imposter syndrome because that really is a situation. In fact, studies show that 70% of any executive has suffered with some version. And by the way, there's 5 different versions that we know of right now of imposter syndrome. Right? So perfectionism is one, the Superman thing, having to be the expert, the genius, and the rugged individual. Right? The rugged individual says, no, I don't need any help. right? That's one way of being the imposter.
I've
Everything
suffered from
is
that
all-
before.
Yes. Another one would be the Superman. Well, I've got to be the one to do this. Well, why is it necessarily just you?
Right.
Why is it just by yourself?
Right.
The genius. Oh, well, if I can't figure this out right away, then there must be something wrong, and I've got to always stay smarter and ahead of everybody. So So you put this pressure on yourself, and if you don't get something right away, then it offends your supposed genius thing. And then, of course, the perfectionist is already living in a world where he's going to set himself up for hurt because nothing's perfect. Everything.
Right.
So then, if you take these to their fullest extent, that's you faking and creating this persona, which then will fall apart, which then makes you feel like an imposter. To which then, if other people read that, they may say, well, I don't know that I want this guy to be my doctor, because do I want the guy who faked it till he made it in med school to be the one who actually is going to do this deal? So I agree that I like the idea that it's in the beginning you start thinking about how can I propel myself forward.
Right.
I think that's a positive. However, I think if you get good at doing nothing but faking till you make it, do you really learn anything?
Right.
And by the way, when I fake that I know stuff, I miss the opportunity to learn new things, because people might be able to have something to share with me, but because I'm acting like I already know what I'm doing, they don't share. So I then miss some great valuable insight from somebody who's maybe been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm only doing this my first semester or season, but I miss it because I'm pretending like, no, I got that. Yeah, I understand that. Because I'm feeling like I need to show these people I have some sort of command or control. So initially I will say I agree, and I think where I probably kind of break off is I don't know that that's a good anecdote forever, because then I'm going to say, okay, well, what about your natural talents and strengths? When you're going to start engaging them, because those are real, not fake.
Yeah.
And if you don't prime those strengths because you're used to faking it, then I think we then create a different problem, and I think it would lead to imposter syndrome, because you're knowing, hey, I'm just faking this stuff. I really don't know it. So what do you think? I mean,
well, so I
know that was a lot.
That was a lot, but one thing I agree with is that when you are faking it, we have to also realize that I think there's something underlying that may not be true or right at the moment. And so I agree with you. If you're constantly faking it, then what's happening is that you are not addressing what may be an issue that you need to work on. And so if you are feeling like you're not a good negotiator, and you're walking into the negotiation room and you're going to, you know what, I'm just going to put on this show and whatever else, but you're not going into studying and trying to get substantive knowledge and those kinds of things, at some point you are going to get, you're going to run into a brick wall.
Yes.
And so that I agree with. But let's take it to the dating world, for example.
That's good.
Guys, if you are trying to, you're attracted to some woman or whatever, and so you, in order, I think, to be able to seem attractive to the opposite sex or same sex or whatever your situation is, you have to exude a certain amount of confidence, even when you don't feel confident.
That's an interesting thought. But go ahead.
and I've seen this played out before, over and over again. Now, you first of all, you need to feel good about yourself and what's inside and everything, and that's really what the issue is. Thinking it is addressing what's inside of you.
Yes.
That's most important, and you need to work on that. But even if you're just a great person inside or whatever else, if you don't portray certain types of traits that are necessarily observable from someone on the other side, and they sense, for example, if you're slouching and you're small or anything like that or whatever, they're going to think that you're not, even if you are, And so so I don't like the word fake then in that situation. I think you are displaying certain types of physical traits in that situation that will allow yourself to be noticed. And that's extremely important. And even if you're not feeling exactly confident, but I guarantee you this, if you're not feeling confident, you're not speaking, you're not, kind of exhibiting certain types of traits or whatever that the other person might want to see, it's not going to happen. And so is that faking it? No, I think that is more of understanding, okay, who are you? What do you need to work on?
Yeah.
And then what types of things you may need to exhibit or portray
Yeah.
to allow yourself to be noticed in a situation when you want to be noticed.
Yes, that makes sense. I'm glad that you brought up the dating scenario because that works well. I'm pretty sure most of the ladies out there don't want to date a guy who says that he has a big job, finds out he's not. He's a janitor. He's telling everybody he's a stockbroker, but really he's the janitor there. He's telling everybody he lives in a certain neighborhood that's high dollar, right? But he doesn't. He's telling her that that's really his car, but really it's his friend's car that he's renting because, again, he's faking. He's in that mindset of trying to fake it. So I think what's dangerous to that, and I love what you're saying about this, is we're talking about lying. When you fake something, you're lying. You're deceiving. You have the intent to try to deceive somebody into believing something that's not necessarily true.
So
here's why. But go ahead.
So I didn't interrupt,
Yeah,
but
please, go ahead.
So the young guy who has a nice car, who has a great job,
Yes.
has great net worth, who might be a little shy, and is sort of introverted. What is wrong with him or her standing tall, putting on a suit that they never really wear before, that's not really what they do, or they do something like that, or put on a nice outfit and nice shoes, and this is not something they necessarily do. Are they lying?
I would say that if they're understanding that it's a date, I would also say that there's probably people trying to be respectful, and they're trying to say, I want to present well, like people going to church. Why do you have to dress up to go to church? Jesus accepts you no matter how you come to church.
Right.
But notice some people dress up for church and some people don't.
Right.
Are they fake Christians because they're dressing up or not, or no? I wouldn't say that at all. So I think what I'm looking at here is somebody who's introverted, because again, introversion is different. We're entering another phrase or word in here. An introvert is not doing it because he doesn't have confidence. An introvert is that way because this isn't his natural habitat. He's not the person who seeks the spotlight.
Right.
He or she likes to step away from the spotlight.
Good morning, Lenora. Good morning, Blue. I see you. Thank you for joining.
Yes. So again, you're looking at it, is that fear because he's not confident, or is that fear because this is something that's not, I don't like so much because I don't like a lot of attention. I'm not used to having one-on-one. So that might be a little different. Now, the thing I would say is this. When it comes to if you're just faking it till you make it, what I'm looking at is there's a certain amount of internal validation that needs to be happening. And if you're faking it till you make it, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for external validation, which then means other people control you because you will act or perform to a level to get other people to say you're okay. And what if they never tell you? Right. But the healthy person or the confident person says, well, because I am internally strong, I know that I can do this. I've done this before. They're not faking anything. They're just showing up and they're just getting a practice rep in, if you will. And sure, they might mess up or fall down, but they're not faking. They're actually being really themselves. I don't know what I'm doing. However, my internal validation says, it's not that I can't do this, it's that I haven't done this yet.
Right.
How do I know that I can't do this?
Yes.
So I'm going to step forward believing, which is not faking, I'm believing that, hey, I belong here. And therefore, I'm going to use grit and perseverance to get through it. And I think that's what it takes. I would rather someone say it this way. Here's your phrase. Everybody want one? Here it comes. I don't like fake it till you make it. I like faith it till you make it, because that's the element of faith. Faith is not that you actually see it or know it to be true.
Right.
Because it doesn't take any faith to believe something that you see every day.
Mm-hmm.
Faith is actually believing something to be true even though you can't see it necessarily.
Right.
So I think that's healthier to say, I'm going to go on faith, which is internal validation, that I don't necessarily need external validation, so therefore I don't need to fake anything to anyone else.
No, and so
that might be a lot. So
and so I think in the as if thinking or whatever is sort of pretty much the same thing.
Yes.
Believe as if it is true, and there's a lot of ways of going about doing that. So I agree with you. So if you are pretending that you are a doctor, and for example, there was a young man out in Florida who he was a teenager, 19 to 20 years old or whatever.
That's right.
And was absolutely pretending like he was a doctor, and prescribe, treating patients, dispensing medicine, getting paid.
Yeah.
So that right there, that's not fake it till you make it. That's fraud. It was just absolutely just perpetrating a fraud on people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is absolutely unacceptable. And so that's the extreme side.
Yes.
And so in my mind, anybody that is being fraudulent or claiming an experience or having experiences or being or an expertise that they don't have, and then at the same time, then they are selling that expertise or giving it, and people are relying on it, then that is fraud. It is dangerous. It is a lot of different things. And so, if you're talking about that, fake it till you make it everything, absolutely not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we're in agreement with that. And I think that's the natural, logical conclusion of it. Because if you get good at faking a bunch of things, right? Because there's a lot of things that people don't know. So there's a lot of things you could fake, right? So if you get to the point where you're good at faking things, you might say, well, when do you ever become the pro or the professional or the expert? Because what you've actually learned how to do is, well, I didn't know how to do that. I faked my way through that. So now I'm going to fake my way through this. And I think we have a question, but I want to hear what you.
A comment. Yeah, faith it until you make it. And I like that. And Lenora is saying she likes it as well. And and so one thing to do is like. So I looked at the definition, if there is one or whatever, Wikipedia, and it says, fake it till you make it is an English aphorism which suggests that by imitating confidence, competence, and an optimistic mindset, a person can realize those qualities in their real life. So what about that definition right there, PJ?
That's smoother.
Okay,
and
this is how they're defining fake it till you make it. Again, fake it till you make it is an English aphorism which suggests that by imitating confidence, competence, and an optimistic mindset, a person can realize those qualities in their real life. And so that might be sort of like the faith it until you make it. Is that how you? And I love that, by the way. Being a person of faith. But here, I think we're talking about having a certain type of mindset,
well, faith is a mindset, by the way.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And believing certain kinds of things or having positivity, which then in turn causes you to act a certain kind of way that will align with whatever your goal may be.
Yes. And so I love that. Now, the only issue I will take with that is, again, this assumes the fact that something's missing. Because, again, you're talking about faking. So what I'm saying is it really missing, or are you just believing it? Because, again, all I've heard are phrases, and if I hear a phrase over and over and over again, I start to believe it. So Joseph Goebbels, one of Hitler's henchmen, said, you tell a lie once, it's a lie. But if you tell a lie 1,000 times, it's truth.
We know some people who might do that here.
Right?
Thanks.
So could you imagine?
But part of the thing is, so with the whole concept, fake it till you make it, or faith it till you make it, can we all agree that at that moment, you don't have it necessarily? Now, we can get philosophical on it that it's there because it's in you and it's coming and all of that. But part of this issue is that at that moment, you don't have, or you have not achieved your goal that you're trying. And I'm assuming a goal, right? You haven't achieved it. And so then the question is, how do you get started in the pathway to achieving it? Is it that you have to then have some type of belief or some type of faith and some type of mindset and exude sort of confidence? Because, for example, if you go in to go see a banker and you're like, I got this great business concept and everything else, and you walk in there and you don't appear confident or have your act together or the business plan together and everything, the business, it may be a situation where the business plan has not been executed upon, But you're walking in there, you're going to put on your suit, you're going to get your briefcase, you're going to dust off your, your resume, whatever it is, and all your financials and everything, and walk into there. And are you faking it again? And maybe when you walk in there, or should you believe that you're going to obtain this, and actually maybe believing as if it is coming to fruition?
So again, I think it goes down to so what we're talking about here is confidence. It sounds like. So are we going to then say, I can only be confident in things that I've done before, or can I have a confidence even though I've never done it before?
Yes.
So I'm going to say that it's just an experience that you haven't had yet, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. So
Right.
if there's nothing saying that you can't do it, then why would you lack confidence? But so then, therefore, that must tell me that we believe something already ahead of time, probably some head trash, some head knowledge, I'm talking about tapes, that's saying, well, anytime I try something new, it doesn't work. So therefore, I'm already telling myself I need to fake it till I make it, because I'm believing an assumption that since it's new and I've never done it before, somehow that means I can't do it. And that's not true at all. There are some people who are actually naturals who've never done something before, and they got out there and they struggle, but they have a natural ability to do it, and they would have never have known unless they just got out there and do it. So it's kind of like singing. There are some people who've never trained in their life, but you put a microphone in front of them, they can hit all these notes. They've never done it before. They've never sung in front of people before. But they just thought, well, I love to sing, and what singing does for me is takes me to another place. Okay, I'll do it. And the next thing you know, there they are, and then they're engaged in it. So to me, I think it goes back to the internal validation. If you are lacking in internal validation, then I think you will spend the rest of your life looking for external validation. And I think that's dangerous. Because
I agree.
now anybody can get inside your head and mold you into whatever they want you to be.
Completely agree with that.
So I like the idea of saying, okay, I don't necessarily need to fake anything because I've never done this before, so how do I know I can't do it? So why don't I just approach it as if, which I like is much better.
Yes.
I'm going to take this as if, hey, I've just not done this before, which does not necessarily mean I can't do it. And then even if I can't do it, if I fail, show me one person who nails playing the guitar or the piano on the very first try.
Right.
They don't. But see, I think the internal validated people who are healthy are going to go, hey, it's just something I haven't done before, but I'm going to work at it. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to work at it till I get it.
Yes.
But if I'm waiting for you to tell me whether you thought I faked it good enough to get in, I'm looking always for external validation. I don't think that's the healthiest place to land.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. But
okay, no, this is good. This is good. That's right.
But so if you are going to the banker again, or you're going to an employer,
okay,
you have to exhibit something externally or internally within that the other person on the other side
Agreed.
Has to agree whether or not do they fit into this place.
Yes.
Do we believe they can do the job? And for this example, if someone never have done this before, walking in believing they can do it, at the same time on the other side of the table, that person has to see something in you. And you're going to have to exhibit something,
yes, yes,
for them to make a decision.
Agreed.
In that case. And so I agree that we should not in any way allow people to, from an external perspective, to be relying on their approval, validation, or anything like that. It comes from within and above, in my opinion.
Love it.
Yet,
that's awesome, actually.
Yet,
It's good.
Here on this earth, the day-to-day things or whatever, when you're trying to, make a sale, or you're trying to get a job, you're trying to get a loan, you're trying to, do certain things, you've got to exhibit certain types of qualities at times.
I agree.
That allows the other person to gain confidence in you.
Yes.
And so there's a fine line in all of this.
I agree. So I would say this: confidence is as confidence does. If I already believe I have confidence, even though I've never done it before, I'm not going to not exude it, because I'm not already thinking in my mind somehow I'm lacking in some kind of area. See, everybody that's faking it till they make it is lacking in something. They're lacking in, and they have an insecurity in some place. But I'm saying, is it not possible to say to yourself, because I've actually seen people do this. I've seen people be naturals. They just walk right in and they killed it though they've never done it before.
Yeah.
It's because inside their head they could visualize, I can see me I could see how I would knock this ball out of the park.
Right.
I could see how I would do, because visualization is also important.
I
and
agree.
that's how
Yes.
you would exude confidence, because you tell yourself, let me imagine myself as already have done this or completed this. How
But-
would I behave or act?
Well, and so
Which is sports psychology, by the way.
yeah. Oh, and, golf, for example.
Yes.
I play a lot of golf and read a lot of golf psychology books as well. But in order, and where I've known where I have done my best
Okay.
is when I visualize myself walking to the tee, visualize the ball going 300 yards
Yep.
down the fairway.
Yep.
And then even when you're in the stands and you're looking out there and you're visualizing that you swinging, the ball going or whatever and everything,
Yeah.
usually that increases the likelihood of that occurring.
Yes.
But I think part of this is just the phrase, fake it
I
till you
would
make
agree.
it.
I
And
would
so,
agree.
so and what does it mean to people,
Absolutely.
And so when you hear it, I immediately think, okay, fake it till you make it. I really don't necessarily like the phrase as well, but it sort of means something, and it's sort of a simple way to immediately get to a concept.
Yes.
And if we could get faith it till you make it out there and everything, I like that better.
Yes.
I like it better as well, because that's the way I sort of psychologically think about it, and my belief internal system and everything
Yes.
as well.
And again, I think this is what it is, because I mean, it's interesting. A lot of times I think when you look at linguistics, right, that words change over time and how they're used. Like, we think of the word bad. Bad used to mean that it was of poor quality. But then bad meant, no, that car was good. If you said that car was bad, that means that car was of excellent quality. So words will change, and
Yes.
they can then confuse what the meaning actually is. And so I think today, when we look at a phrase like that, which sometimes these phrases are old phrases that were used for a completely different situation that we're still using today. And I'm
Right.
thinking, well, with what we know now about the brain and the brain science that we've had the
Yeah.
last 60 years, we're actually learning that no, people can actually learn like languages in just 21 days. There's
Yes.
ways to learn things faster now. So if it's true that you can learn things at a much faster rate now because we understand more about the brain, wouldn't that not also give you more confidence? So then the
Yes.
thought process now might just be, okay, well, what do I need to learn in order to become this person that I want to project myself to be?
Yeah. And so I see some people watching and everything. If anybody has any questions about this or have any comments, please let us know about it. I think today, we faith it till you make it. If he hasn't coined this, whatever, I might take it from him. But I think it's really good.
Yeah.
But so I guess we sort of need to wrap it up a little bit and
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
come down to some. Maybe
Sure.
we can agree on some things, or
I think we are agreeing on some things. So
Okay,
I
okay.
think we're there. So I will just say that I do get the initial part where people are saying, I need to muster up the confidence to do this thing because I want to do this thing.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. I think the intent there is good.
Yes.
I don't know that using that kind of phrasing, the fake it part, really is there, because again, when we want something, we don't want the fake version of it. You don't want a fake Rolex, you want the real thing. And if someone sold you a fake Rolex, you'd be pretty upset about it.
If you paid real money for it, yeah.
That's right, and you don't want the doctor the same thing. So I'm looking at it as saying, okay, I get the initial, trying to get past the initial inertia of maybe trying to do something that you didn't think you could because you put a ceiling there. But I would then say, well, what really does it involve to get that confidence?
Yes.
And it's probably not faking it. It's probably believing in faith that you probably have what it takes to get it done. You just haven't done it yet. And I think that comes from more of a positive mindset, and that'll get you there.
Yeah.
So I guess I like being a positive person. I like the idea of seeing the situation through a positive lens,
Yeah.
more so from the lens that says, no, we've got a deficit here. And because of that deficit now, we're going to spend a lot of time and energy trying to cover that deficit by faking. And that's what I see some people doing.
So I agree what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so I think there's the ones that are faking it to, and I'll just use the word fake, to make up for a deficit and never address the deficit.
Yes.
I think that's a complete disaster. And again, I think you will run into a brick wall. And if you're doing that, let's work on what is the deficit and work on that.
Yes.
But I think the ones that are, for example, walking into a room and feeling like, okay, I'm going to an Ivy League school, or I'm going to medical school, first day.
Yeah.
No one in my family has ever done this before.
Right.
But I know the professor's going to be looking at me, and I need to kind of exude a certain kind of confidence. So I'm going to walk in the room, even though I'm feeling extremely insecure.
Yes.
But it's a deficit that I need to work on.
Yeah.
But come in confident, knowing that at some point the confidence is going to come to me, and I'm also going to put in the work to address this issue.
Yes.
But for right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stand tall, chest out,
Mm-hmm.
and smile,
Mm-hmm.
and exude confidence.
Yes. See, and that's where I would agree with you. I just would say, but isn't that actually being real, though?
Not if you're not in it. So no, see, it is if you're feeling it at that moment. So I don't. So I know we're wrapping up here, but like,
No, it's okay. It's
have
good.
you ever, woke up one morning and you're like, oh man, I'm not feeling that good, but I know I've got to do some things today and everything. And so and at this moment, I'm not. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go work out, which I do in the morning. I did that this morning.
Yes.
Because I know how that makes me feel and everything, and it's going to
Yes.
get me to that
Level.
That
Yeah.
level.
Yes.
But initially, I'm not feeling it. And also, it's an emotion and feeling everything, and those things are
See,
temporary like that.
yes.
But anyway, but yes. And so, anyway.
I love how you tied that back in. And so I think we're there. I think we're in the same park. I think I'm agreeing with you on that end. I think where I differ is just I just don't like the wording or the phrasing.
I don't like it
I don't
either.
think the word is precise
Yeah.
for what you're really doing, because
Yeah.
to me, you're not. If you're really in the situation and you're really telling yourself, I've got to go walk into Harvard and I've got to sit in front of this board committee that's going to drill me with a bunch of questions,
Right.
and I have in my head that I'm the first one in my family to do it, which doesn't mean anything, by the way. Just because you're the first one in your family to do it does not mean that your family couldn't do it before. It's just you were the first. So I don't load things up like that. I just say,
Right.
hey, I deserve to be here to begin with, and whether that's arrogant or not, people can debate. But I think I deserve to be here anyway.
Right.
So all I'm really going to do is I'm not going to fake anything. I'm going to walk in here, and all I'm going to do is wait and see what they offer me and throw at me, and then I'm just going to try to answer it to the best of my ability. And if I lose and they say, no, you're not smart enough or whatever, bright enough to be at our school, then I will say, well, can I get what I need to get there? And I'll take that, what seems to be a failure, and try to turn it into a success. And
Yes.
that is resilience, and that is somebody who, again, I would push everyone to be an internal validation person. Don't try to seek it from someone else, because it's the mentally strong, the internal validated people, they don't let stuff like this stop them.
Right.
And therefore, they don't let this become a self-fulfilling prophecy where now they're going to spend the rest of their life trying
Yes.
to present something that they're not really. Instead, they're just saying, no, this is just something I haven't done yet. So I'm with you. I like it. I like the stand up tall, let's go in, let's be the first one in. I think what that is situational awareness.
Mhm.
You're aware of how big this is because no one in your family's done it. You're here doing it now. You know you've got good grades, but this is still Harvard, or this is still Princeton, or this is still whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they're scholarly, and they don't look like you, and they're dressed well, and so again, in your head, if you start paying attention to all that, you're the one that's psyching yourself out,
Right.
right?
Yeah, no, and again, where I'll say I agree with that, and what I also agree with is that the validation must come internally and from above. That's what I believe, and
I love that.
you are somebody,
Yes.
you're
Yes.
someone special, and you can get things done, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to understand that about you. You must believe in yourself and your abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and be honest with yourself as well. And sort of there are things you need to work on. You need to address them,
Yeah.
and but don't in any way. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Allow someone from the outside to be able to, at some point, because you're trying to gain their favor or whatever, start telling you can't do something, or you're not competent,
Yes.
or no one in your family's ever done this, and so you can't do it. And so all of those things I completely agree with. And so I think we've reached some
Worked through it.
consensus. Yeah, for sure.